Jets Eagles might have been even more wild for the fact that the Eagles turned the ball over so many times, including in that what led to the Jets taking the lead, a third down situation. Jalen Hurts goes back to throws a pick, and they return it inside the 10-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
And then they let the Jets score, but the Jets hold. And now the Jets, Brad, the Jets
are 3-3.
And Aaron Rodgers is throwing footballs on the field with 35 days after surgery.
Yeah, he's got the black magic going.
Yeah, I like that. That to me was wild. Seeing Aaron Rodgers being able to throw. I thought I had that somewhere. Let me see if I can pull that up. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers out there just chucking a ball around a month after surgery is just absolutely mind blowing to me. You gotta wonder, lots of people cracking jokes. Once Aaron Rodgers went down, the Jet season was over. Everybody was depressed if you were a Jets fan.
Mm-hmm.
But that defense is really keeping teams, or keeping it close. With the exception, I would say, of the Cowboys game, the Jets have been playing their opponents pretty close, win or lose. We saw the Chiefs game was a close game, and I would make the argument that Jets should have won that game. The officials kind of threw that game for them at the end of the game on a defensive holding. But like there was some really bright spots, and I'll say this too. Look, everybody, rightfully so, Zach Wilson has gotten a lot of shit for being a terrible quarterback. But he's also that Eagles game, towards the end of the game, he made some really good throws as well to Wilson in particular. I thought he played a great game, and it seems as if he's only getting better since everybody wrote him off as somebody who wasn't going to be in the league next year, much less making some sort of noise and even, dare I say, making a run towards at least a wild card spot. I think the Jets are certainly not out of it. That's for damn sure.
No, not at all. I mean, you know what? I was just thinking about this. For the Jets, first off, Zach Wilson's the maturity level for him, right? Him growing as an individual and understanding he's come a long way from being the second overall pick and then talking about he's going to give the next quarterback that comes in hell, and to even when asking questions, do you feel like you let the defense down? No, like those moments from the years past to now the accountability. But I'll say this, I'm happy with even Nathaniel Hackett. This should be their strategy. Have you guys seen Kicking and Screaming, the movie?
Oh, yeah.
With Will Ferrell and Mike Ditka. Okay, for everyone else, they're kicking and screaming. They're coaching a soccer team. And then they get kids soccer team. And they get the two best players from this neighborhood, and they're both Italians, and they're ridiculously good at soccer. I think the Jets' game plan needs to be pass it to the Italians, and in this case, their Italians are Garrett Wilson, get him the football, which they did, and let Breece Hall get the ball as many times as you possibly can. Yes. And if you can do that, you're going to be able to alleviate pressure off of Zach Wilson. But on top of it, Brad, you brought it up. I mean, the quarterbacks that they faced,
it's insane.
So let's run through this list real quickly. Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Mac Jones.
Ooh. There we go.
Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Jalen Hurts. And in their home games, minus the one game against the Chiefs where they gave up 23 points, their totals 14 against the Eagles, 15 against the Patriots, and 16 against the Buffalo Bills. They're a way different team when they play at home. And now there's kind of some hope here in the Meadowlands.
I just want to point out they lost to Mac Jones. So
that was
take that for what it's worth.
So this is why I was asking the question. It's like, there's obviously some adjustments they had to make. It seems as if though that they've made them. I mean, they should have beat the Chiefs, and I think that they would have beat the Chiefs. And now they beat the Eagles. I think that they are figuring it out. And we talk about this a lot, especially with NFL teams, is like, they have a huge change in personnel over the offseason. It takes a little bit to really gel and create that chemistry with everybody. And it kind of just feels as if the Jets are doing that. And, I really do think that there's an opportunity there for them to take a wild card spot if they continue to trend in this direction. Speaking of trending, we talked about this, this whole Aaron Rodgers thing. Like, here's Aaron Rodgers just tossing a football. This is a month after his Achilles injury. You got to wonder too, we haven't seen anything from J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins is also rehabbing with Aaron Rodgers, going through the same rehab process that Aaron Rodgers went through as well. This is really encouraging for Jets fans. It's got to be really encouraging for Ravens fans as too. Got to wonder when we could see potentially JK out there. I don't want to say full sprinting or anything like that. Obviously, throwing a football is way different than running, but man, you got to be encouraged by that. I don't know if we see JK back on the field this season, but he could very easily be back next season in full form.
And I mean, look at the Jets coming up schedule. They have a bye, then they play the Giants, the Chargers, and the Raiders. And that necessarily, with their defense,
could be 6-3.
You could be 6-3 easily. I think 5-4 at worst. And so I would be excited if I was a Jets fan. And I mean, it's going to be the question that follows this team, no matter really what they do, is what would it be like with Aaron Rodgers? And I think that's such an interesting question because, like we said, they should have beat the Chiefs. They should have beat the Patriots. With Aaron Rodgers, I'm thinking at least one of those is a win. So suddenly you go from, that injury, you really look how it could have even opened up the AFC, because who knows, with this defense playing that way, Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, that could have been a team that we looked at like, oh, that's where you have to go through to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it's really defense can travel. That's where it starts. Mm-hmm. And we've seen why the Eagles, for me, why the Eagles are having a little bit more struggle was that their secondary wasn't as sharp as it was, and they've had some injuries. They lose their defensive coordinator, right? Yeah. The Jets, what you see when you're able to control the trenches, which the Eagles still do, by the way. The Eagles are so nasty in the trenches. But for the Jets, their secondary is tough. I mean, it's a tough group. And yes, like I understand that, the Eagles still did a tremendous job, but they forced 3 turnovers. And Jalen Hurts last year, people were talking about him. If he didn't get hurt, he would have been the MVP of the league, right? Then Patrick Mahomes had his worst, I think, statistical game of his career against the Jets. So, I mean, there's a lot of talking points, but if you're a Jets fan, you are in the discussion. You are right in the middle of being exactly where you thought you weren't going to be when Aaron Rodgers went down.